Now this is your control panel. Now when you first open up the door, it's going to be going through a default menu or a standard menu. If you want to scroll through that menu quicker, you can hit your plus or back and forth arrows, and it will allow you to scroll through a little quicker. Now what you see here, it says salt level 28 parts per million, or 2800 parts per million. That's your weekly average salt rate. So it's not your 2-time rate, it's not what it is right now, but that's what your weekly average has been. So if your salt has fluctuated high or low in that period of time, you might not have a proper reading. I'll show you inside how to get a better reading. But just so you know, it's an idea of what it is, it's not exact numbers. So your salt level, 2800 parts per million. If I hit my over arrow again, it gives you your day and your time. Your pool water temperature, your air temperature, pool chlorinator percentage, 75%. That's how much chlorine you're producing with your salt system. Normal is anywhere between 60 to 75 beginning and end of the season, where your water temperature is a little colder, you're not using the pool as often. Mid-season, July, hottest part of the summer, don't be afraid to run it at 100%. It's really going to depend on the pool itself.
When you say run it, what does that mean? Or are we getting to that?
As per running the system, that and where to set your salt to. How as per the percentage, how much chlorine you're
So you can
producing.
change that 75% number.
Yes. Now, if I hit my menu button once, it'll bring you into your settings menu. Hit my over arrow once, and it'll bring you to your super chlorinate setting. Now, super chlorinate basically turns your salt system all the way up to 100% for a 24-hour period of time. Now, if your pool's only running 8 hours a day, it's going to run for that 8 hours, shut off with the system, come back on, run another 8 hours until that 24 hours times out. So say if you're running 12 hours a day, it'll take 2 days for it to go through that cycle. Now that's just basically shocking the pool naturally with your salt system. A little bit of cloudiness and green spots, the liner feels a little slimy. You can come in and turn that on. On and off for most settings, and how to change the settings is your plus and minus arrows.
So in other words, if we see the pool getting a little scummy, we want to come in here and turn it up to 100% for a day or two.
Yes.
Okay. And then take it back down to 75% somewhere in after.
Now, if you're using your super chlorinate setting, it'll automatically shoot it up to that 100%.
Right.
It'll run 24 hours, and then it'll automatically shut itself back off.
And go back
So
to
that's
whatever it
its
was.
version of shocking itself, essentially.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's not something we have to do unless we see the pools.
Yeah, you're starting to get cloudy, sliminess to the liner, stuff like that. Otherwise, whatever percentage you have, as long as you're clean, clear, no issues, you shouldn't have to change it.
Okay.
Again, you start getting middle of the season, your water's a lot warmer, more people in the pool, you may have to turn that regular percentage up.
Okay.
Hit my over arrow again. This here is where your pool chlorinator percentage actually is. So at any time, hit your plus or minus arrows.
And as the season goes on, we may choose to increase that a little bit.
Absolutely.
It's good at 75% right now.
75% is fine, and your water looks fairly clear, so I don't see any issues with that for now. I would give it probably another month or two. You may be turning it up to 90, almost 100.
Okay. So in the summer, we want to keep it somewhere in that 90 to 100 range.
More than likely, yes. Now, if you're not using the pool that often, and say you're running at 90%, you may start to notice a little bit of a chlorine smell to the pool, which is completely natural.
Okay.
If it does bother you, and your water's crystal clear, no problems,
Back
just
it
come
down.
in, turn it back down a little bit. Now, in saying that, really serious issue, pool turns super green, super cloudy, and you want to handle it as quick as possible, you still technically are a chlorine pool, so you can add liquid chlorine to the pool to fix anything quicker. If I hit my over arrow again, it'll bring you to your day and time settings,
Okay.
which again, you just adjust by your up and down arrows. Day and time, same thing, up and down arrows. The only thing I want to point out is always make sure that your AM and PM are correct. A lot of the times we'll set them and the customer will call, my pool's running at night, not during the day, something's wrong.
That's why.
That's usually something as simple as that.
Okay.
And then display light for 60 seconds, that's just the illumination of the board. Beeper enabled is that beeping sound every time I hit the buttons. You can shut that off. And that's the end of your setting.
Okay. So to get to that, you just hit menu and then scroll through. Got
Yep.
it. Okay.
If I hit menu a second time, it'll bring you to your timers menu. Hit my over arrow once. And this is the time that the pool's running to. Now I just recently switched this because we're starting to get warmer during the day. I did have you running from 11 to 5 p.m. Best time to run the pool is hottest parts of the day, whenever the pool gets the most sun, and anytime anybody's in the pool. Now in saying that, say you're shut off at 5 o'clock and you have a party or company and you guys are still using the pool, you can come out and manually turn the pool on by the filter. Now when using this button, it's not going to override the timer. It'll kick it on, you guys can swim. If you forget to shut it off that evening, it'll pick back up on its timer again the following day.
So to do it manually, you hit that to start it, hit that to stop it.
Yes.
Okay.
Now the same thing, if you come over and you manually shut it off, it's still running on its timer. So the following day when it's supposed to kick on, it'll kick back on automatically.
You generally recommend 9 to 5 most of the season?
Most of the season, yes.
Okay.
Usually, again, that mid-season, really hot in July, I'll run them for usually 12 hours a day, like a 7 to 7.
Okay.
The sooner you can get it running before the sun gets up and starts warming everything up, the sooner you get sanitizer into the water,
Okay.
the more likely you are to stay clean.
Okay.
A lot of people I'll get try to running their system at night. You're usually struggling with chemicals and trying to keep the water clear. You'll never find a shiny pool that runs at night.
To get to that, I hit the menu button 2 times.
2 times,
Goes to
it'll
that
bring up
second menu.
timers,
Okay.
and then you push your over arrow, and it'll bring you to your time.
Okay.
Now, there's a bunch of timers in here that you can set. For, say, an example, if you wanted the pool to run for a short period of time in the morning, and then say you get off late in the evening and you swim every night, you can set it for a later timer as well. I do recommend just running a straight day, especially when it's sunny out. You don't necessarily need the other timers.
Okay.
But now if I scroll through this, you'll see it'll go into T2, T3, T4. So you have 4 separate timers that you can set. Now, the only thing you want to keep in mind if you are setting multiple timers, if the times overlap themselves, it'll just run continuous.
Okay.
Same thing, if it overlaps itself turning off, it'll be off more than it's on.
Sounds like the simplest things is just run it all day.
Usually just the first timer, set however many hours and adjust from there.
Okay.
And the same thing with running it. If water's crystal clear, no issues, you can take an hour or 2 off. Opposite effect, a little cloudiness, stuff like that, add an hour or 2 to it.
Okay.
Now my next timer here is for your lights in the pool, and you can set a timer for that. Again, it's going to be your plus and minus arrows, and just keep an eye on what your AM and your PMs are. Do you want me to set a timer for your lights while I'm in here?
I would not think so.
Not yet.
Okay. So I'm going to shut this off. Now what I'll do is, you'll see it's 12:15 and 12 a.m. In order to actually shut the timer off, just make the 2 times the same and it'll go to the off position.
Is there a way to turn it on manually?
Yes, there is. This
Oh,
switch
okay.
here is going to be your manual on and off. And do you have a colored light? Do you know of?
Don't know.
I think you do.
It looks purple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you have a color logic light. In your paperwork, they should have given you paperwork for your light. There should be a little card in there. And it's going to tell you all the different colors, light functions, and display shows that it has in it. There's like a Mardi Gras, there's a patriotic one. There's a few of them that you can just put just a single color on.
Yeah, it's scrolling through different colors right now.
Yeah, it's in one of its mood settings, so it'll scroll through most of the colors. I think there's 3 different settings that scrolls through all the colors,
How do you
and they're all
change the
different
settings?
speeds. Now, that card is going to tell you in order what the settings and colors are, and the only way to change it is simply turn it off, wait a second or 2, turn it back on again,
Okay, and it'll go to a different.
and it'll change to the next setting.
Okay.
Now, if you leave that on for 5-10 minutes, when it shuts back off and comes back on, it should be on the same color. But if you're scrolling through them on and off pretty quickly, that should be changing the colors to the next function. Let's see. And then if I hit my over arrow again in the timers menu, you'll see a couple of these valve timers, which you don't have any electronic valves, so you do not need them. But